to order and welcome the audience to the January 15th, 2019 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. I'd like to ask everyone to please stand while Coach Williams says the invocation and the pledge.
Our gracious God, we come today thanking you for another blessed day. Thank you for life, health, and strength. Suffering, dying, shedding blood for the remission of our sins. Presence tonight in this meeting. Thank you for the year that you blessed us with as we approach another new year. And we ask a blessing upon this board and this staff. And we pray for those who come tonight, Lord, asking for our help. Let the Holy Spirit guide and lead us that we might do that which is pleasing in our sight. We offer this day as our prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Christie, would you please call the roll?
Chair Art Little.
Here.
Vice Chair Randy Armentor.
Here.
Miss Latricia Cobb. Miss Julia Dickerson.
Here.
Miss Sharon Galicia and Mr. Kyle Link are both absent tonight. Miss Janelle Hyatt. Mr. Jake Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre.
Here.
Mr. Kirk Smith.
Here.
And Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. This is an 11-member board. It will take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any requests heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless the vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the request from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant need to fill out a blue card, request to appear form, located in the back of the room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group waiting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers' request forms are submitted, the time allotted for the individual speakers will be limited based on the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The various requests are final tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on January 17th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net. Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, and Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, please turn off or silence all electronic devices. First item is to take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the December 18th, 2019 Planning and Zoning meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval. I have a motion by Ms. Dickerson and second by Ms. Cobb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Item number 6, take appropriate action on VAR 11180064, a request by Jonathan Bailey for for a variance to allow 2 dwellings with less than required public road frontage. Required 100 feet, requesting 81.89 feet. And with less than required lot square footage, required 43,560 square feet, requesting 30,013 square feet at 6767 Roy Araby Road in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by
Second.
Ms. Cobb
Second.
and second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the LeBlue Settlement area and encompasses .69 acres of agricultural zone land. The applicant owns this tract and the abutting tract. He would like to sell this portion to his brother. His brother plans to move a used 29-foot by 76-foot manufactured home on the land to serve as his personal residence. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because a similar request has been granted in the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to the utilities being connected.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Any questions or concern from the board? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 7, take appropriate action on VAR 11180065. That's what there we go. A request by CMKM Real Estate LLC for a variance to allow sales of alcohol within 300 feet of a church at 2602 Highway 14 East in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre and seconded by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses 3/4 of an acre of light commercial zone land. Currently on the property is a convenience store. The store is licensed to sell beer at this time. However, the applicants would like to be permitted to sell packaged liquor as well. Although the church building is located approximately 366 feet away from the store, the law requires that we measure to the church's property line, which is approximately 249 feet away from the store and triggers the need for the variance. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because a similar request has been granted in the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted.
Thank you, ma'am. Does the applicant have any comments or additions?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Tom Gale. My address is 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I'll be glad to answer any questions. This is what used to be KK's Corner. It's now Four Corners. It's been an established convenience store for many, many years. And so they've been opposite of the church, and they've sold alcohol before. They just want to be able to do the packaged alcohol sale. There will be no on-site consumption. There is a drive-through daiquiri stand and bar adjacent to the parking lots that you see on the site plan. So there's other activity within that area. It's all adjacent to it. So it is not a radical change from what's currently happening.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Any of the board members have any questions or comments? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on RZ 1018-0103, a request by Philip Parker to rezone from agricultural A1 to recreational vehicle park, R-RVP, to allow recreational vehicle park, 4 spaces and 1 cabin at 5519 Cormier Road in Ward 7. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in the Vinton area and encompasses just over 2 acres at the end of a private road. In 2007, the applicant moved a manufactured home on the property without permits. He then received a variance to allow that residence on the private road. 2 conditions were adopted as part of that approval: that the development adhere to the site plan and that he obtain a permit for the manufactured home within 5 days of approval. And the only permit that I was able to find on file is in 2011 for a water well. And according to our aerial photos, RVs began to be placed on the land beginning in 2012. And in the fall of last year, we received a complaint regarding an RV park at this location. An inspection found 3 RVs in a smaller home, none of which had been permitted. After receiving formal notice of a violation, the applicant submitted his rezoning request, which was originally for 14 RV spaces, but has since been reduced to just the current occupancy. Because the request is on a road maintained privately, we asked the applicant to obtain letters of no objection from the other owners along the road. He was able to obtain signatures from 7 of the 9 owners, and that is attached on your tablets. And we have not received any written opposition to this request. Because the proposed development does not have public road frontage, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that a development permit must be obtained within 30 days, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that RV park model types are prohibited, that screening must be provided along the west property line or west boundary of the development in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code prior to any final electrical approvals, that solid waste disposal must be privately funded, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add? If you would, state your name and address for the record, sir.
Philip Parker. I live at 5576 Mott Road, Vent, Louisiana, 70668.
Thank you, sir.
I did come in 2005 to try to get 4 RV spots that were put in 2005 due to Hurricane Rita. We used them for a brief time. Then as we got back into our own homes, they just kind of went away. You know, they were still there, but nobody ever used them. Sometime around 2008, I had a racetrack friend of mine that had contacted me about moving his camper on and staying there for a couple of months, which he did for about 2 years by himself. The 3rd year, he brought a lady friend of his with him. So there was 2 out there for a couple of months that summer. And then later on, the 4th year, I had some construction workers that had contacted me, and that's whenever I started letting people stay out there, not knowing that the waived permits from 2005 were no longer good. Didn't even know that I'd have to rezone for 4 spots. I will add this too. Since I've put all this rock out there and everything some time back, that's the garbage turnaround now, whoever else, Energy turns around their big trucks there, all that type of stuff too. I have not had any problem with that. You know, I try to be as fair to people as they are to me.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Does any board member have any questions for Mr. Parker?
I don't know if it's for Mr. Parker or for who. I'm just curious how that works now. You put in 4 RV spots,
Yes, sir.
and so you go to who for sewage?
It's got y'all got that in your packet. It should be, I provided the sewer permit from whenever I put the sewer in during the hurricane.
For the amount of spots that you have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
The man approved it for, he put in a mobile home, but I didn't have a mobile home at that time. Why he put mobile home, I don't know.
state would have to approve.
Yes,
The
sir.
state approved you to have the mechanical system you have there
Yes, sir.
is good for RV park.
For 4 dwellings, he knew what I had there. He was there, you know, I told him and showed him what I was doing with it. Yes, sir.
Have something stating that?
Just that piece of paper that I give Miss Tunn. She made a copy of it.
And water is, y'all in a water district?
Water well, sir.
Water well, you don't have to have that tested or anything to have,
They tested it whenever they first put it down. Randy Gearin,
don't you have to have, if you're providing water? I'm really asking this, do you have to have some sort of state testing if you're gonna be a public water service? You can just stick a well and not have,
Well, it all has to be approved by the state, yes, through DHH. And I'm sure they go out there and they.
somebody has to test the
Oh,
water.
yeah.
I know it was tested whenever they drilled the well, that's all.
Yeah, but I think it has to be tested all periodically,
Maybe.
yeah. That's
I
what
do
I'm
know that
wondering.
we're-
But if it's a community type system.
Right, a
Yeah,
community system, and that
type
wouldn't be a
system, and You're
system.
providing water to multiple type units. There's
Right, and that's
pro-
what's happening here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody knows it's back there.
Jake, what's that?
There's a cabin that was built on the property.
No, sir, it was something that was given to me right down the road that I moved on, off of the same road,
Okay. That wasn't permitted either, right? Correct?
permitted to move it there.
To move it there to
But
connect services
it was
to
never on public highway. It was on private road. From private road, right down 6 houses,
Right. But
8
it still
houses.
should, when did you move the cabin on there?
A couple of years ago.
Okay. Of the 9, there's 9 neighbors?
Yes,
And-
sir.
And you received 7?
I'm one of the 9.
Okay. Was there, you just couldn't get in touch with the 8th or
The
they
8th one is
objected?
fixing to move up to Arkansas. There's there's 10, I believe, total,
Okay.
including me. One of them I cannot, I've sent him a letter, a written letter, and I sent him an email to what he had on the internet. He's never responded either way. He just bought the property 6 months ago, maybe a year.
Okay.
I don't know exactly when he bought it.
So you've got 2 neighbors that you can't, 2 property owners that you don't have signatures.
Right, one of them I couldn't contact, so I don't know if he's a yes or a no.
Okay.
The other one said that he wasn't gonna sign nothing because he's fixing to move up to Arkansas. He's getting in poor health, and he's gonna move up there with some people to take care of him.
All questions.
Yes, sir, Coach?
Mr. Parker, in the time the water well was been tested any time by the state since then?
It's still the original. No, sir.
More questions for Mr. Parker? Mr. Navarro?
This septic tank, it's a mechanical system?
Yes, sir.
How many gallon tanks is, how many gallons is
I
it?
couldn't tell you what.
So it could be a 500, or it could be 1,000, or 2,500, you know?
I
I mean,
know
you
it's
got,
probably-
you've got, what, 4 trailers and a cabin? That's 5 houses.
It's 5 toilets, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, I don't know how much one will take or 10 will take, you know?
Does the Board of Health have to come into the,
The Board of Health is the one that gives the certificate.
well, I understand that, but, you know, when did you get a certificate? Whenever it was first built?
Yes, sir.
And at that time, was there 4 trailers and a house on there at that time?
There was 4 trailers there, 4 camp
Yeah.
spots.
You know, does the Board of Health get involved in this in kind of, you know? I'd hate to approve it and somebody gets sick and they say, well, the zoning board approved it. And
Well,
Mr. Garrett, Ms. Wallace?
If I could, we
if
do
you
have a
could.
letter on file. This is all we have that references sewer, and this is what they regularly give us. And it says, the environmental section of the Office of Public Health offers no objection to the proposed rezoning of the property listed above. Please note, this in no way grants approval for construction or addition of RV lots that would require approval from this office. Plans must be submitted for review and approval prior to construction or moving of any structures to the above-mentioned property. So this is not what we would use for permitting. He would have to get further approval from
But
DHH
if we
before he can
approve
be
it,
permitted.
if we approve it tonight, do y'all turn anything in to the state to get it, that Board of Health to get it approved?
He would have to go back to the state.
Yeah, but he don't, I mean,
And he
it's
would
all
have
hooked
to-
up now. If he just
Well,
goes home and
they would
forgets
have to
about
do
it,
an inspection and they would have to give us that
You know, that
document.
puts
We
us in
wouldn't
a-
be able to issue a
you know,
permit on it.
yeah.
But we have no record, again, the only permit that I show on file is that one water well from 2011. I don't show anything where a mechanical system was
Right.
permitted, nothing.
Mr. Porche?
Just a question for the staff. I don't know if you guys would have this information. I'm always concerned about the precedent we set here with our decisions. How many RV parks do we have in the parish that are at the end of a private road? I mean, there's
know
an
of
ordinance
any.
against it for
I
a
don't-
reason.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't think I'm not knowledgeable of anyone that are down at the end of a private road.
Right.
And that was my concern is that,
I agree.
you know, this is a private road where the folks along there having to upkeep that road and then you're inviting public into that space, you know, which could damage the road. And I know there's farming equipment and
You
all
guys
that.
are gonna get the call when the road's
Oh, yeah.
I am the
try-
one
I'm
that
trying to
maintains
protect
that
it.
road.
I have a question. Being as a private road, there's a fire out there, does the fire department go out there? Is
Yes,
there
sir.
Fire protection out there?
They'll go out there, yeah, they'll respond to that. But they,
That's actually to go way back to 1997 when the police jury actually passed an ordinance that prohibited future private roads, which this private road actually had to receive special permission from the police jury back in 2006 and 2007 when the owner developed these lots. But way back in 1997, part of the reason why the police jury changed the ordinance to prohibit new private roads is because emergency ambulances and fire trucks couldn't get down when the roads weren't properly constructed to our standards.
That's a
and
major
then they get in
concern.
a condition where, you know, they're not really maintaining them and it'll cause an issue.
Other questions or? Yes, sir,
It's
Mr.
just,
Jake?
it's a great point. I mean, the condition of the road, I mean, these fire trucks are not
I can-
half-ton pickups that, you know, four-wheel drive pickups there. It's, I don't like the precedence that it was set. That's it.
Parker?
I can provide you with receipts from Dun & Price for rock last year and 4 years prior. Right at $4,000 one time, a little over $4,200 the first time. I am the one that maintains the road, just to where you know where the road stands.
I just to explain, it's a decision we make tonight could be a 30-year decision.
I understand.
And so that's what we're having to do is look at this. You may do a great job of taking care of this road for the next 2 years and then sell the property. And then
I've been
whoever
taking care
takes
of-
over doesn't have the care that you have, and then we have an issue where we've approved something and emergency vehicles can't get to the end of the road. That's all.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Smith.
After Hurricane Rita, was the permitting process waived?
There was a period of time where there was a waiver for folks to live in RVs for a period of time because there was a lot of people in this parish that were out of homes. And so during that emergency declared period is when people were allowed to do. Then that period ended, it was lifted, and that's when people had to move into the home or move somewhere in a more permanent, you know, type structure. And so we're still, to this day, we still have folks out there that have RVs on properties that were put back, you know, that may have somebody live, and we have to cite them, you know, for doing that. But there was a period of time where that was permitted.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Any other questions and comments? Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Navarre,
No.
Ms. Cobb? No. Mr. Porsche?
No.
Ms. Dickerson? Mr. Armentor?
No.
Mr. Williams?
No.
Ms. Hyatt? Two for and 6 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion fails. Agenda item number 9, take appropriate action on RZ 1118-0106, a request by St. Theodore Knights of Columbus Council number 3622 to rezone from Central Business Commercial C3 and Mixed Residential R2 to Central Business Commercial C3 to allow a commercial development parking lot at 356 East Telephone Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 3 acres. Currently on the property is a KC Hall and an aggregate parking area. The KC Council would like to expand the existing parking area, and because the expansion area is zoned mixed residential, a zoning hearing is necessary. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because the zoning is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that natural screening remain along the north property line, and should the plant materials be removed, screening in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code shall be installed, that a 20-foot buffer be maintained along the east property line, that landscape screening be installed in accordance with section 2650 of the parish code along the east property line within 30 days of completion of construction, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
My name is Benjamin McDaniel Jr., and I'm here for 356 East Telephone Road. First thing I'd like to do is thank everybody that's here tonight taking this under consideration. Also, I'd like to inform you that Knights of Columbus is an all-voluntary organization, and the money that we raise through bingo, every bit of it goes back into the community one way or another. We do maintain the facilities with that money, but every bit we raise, we donate to some charitable cause throughout the city, throughout the state, throughout the nation. Really, I'm only up here to maybe get a couple clarifications on what is written. First of all, would all of the property be zoned commercial? Is that what I'm understanding now? Okay. Second thing, the 20-foot buffer that would be required, would that actually be on the property line, or would that be at the 20-foot line?
It would be 20 feet from the property line.
20 feet from the property line?
Right,
Okay.
from that east property line.
Okay. And,
And you could plant your screening within that 20 feet,
okay,
just as long as it stays open from structures and the concrete and that kind of thing.
okay, okay. Guys, do we have anything else? Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much. Any of our board members have any questions or concerns? No opposition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, take appropriate action on RZ 1118-0107, a request by HPS Enterprises LLC to rezone from general commercial C2 to recreational vehicle park R-RVP to allow recreational vehicle park 29 spaces at 1279 Highway 397 in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Navarre. Seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located east of Lake Charles and encompasses nearly 1.5 acres. In 2012, this property was rezoned from agricultural to commercial to allow future retail and commercial development. Since that time, ownership of the land has changed twice. The new owner would like to develop an RV park at this location. The park will share ingress and egress with the abutting convenience store, which is owned by the same company. All roads will be asphalt while parking will be concrete. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because minimal impacts are expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, that a local development permit must be obtained within 1 year, or property will revert to C2 general commercial zoning, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that RV park model types are prohibited, that solid waste disposal must be privately funded, that screening must be provided along the east property line in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code prior to any electrical approval, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
Yes, I would like to. My name is Bessie Jean Ozan. I live at 1159 Highway 397. And I'm here because I'm concerned about the drainage. I live next.
Excuse me, are you the applicant applying for this request?
No, I'm against.
Okay, I was asking for the applicant if he has anything
Oh.
first.
Okay, I'm sorry then.
I'm sorry. You'll have your turn, I
Okay.
got your card.
All right, thank you.
It's okay. Members of the commission, my name is Tom Gale. Address is 713 Kirby Street in Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This is a fairly unique situation. There is a brand-new convenience store that's been constructed, and it is located on Highway 397. This is a parcel that came up adjacent to this, that's next to the store. And the way the site plan is drawn out, and I think the original site plan went in with a mistake. It's probably less than 29 units. We had a revised plan that got submitted, so I think we're closer to 22 instead of 29. We had an error in the calculation. They're going to share ingress and egress and resources with the store, and so the store owners would also be the developers and operators of the park. The store runs 24/7, so they would have somebody there 24/7. They'll be on site. Solid waste will be there. They will certainly take care of whatever screening that needs to be done. It's going to be a new, current, modern, state-of-the-art property. It will be on a public road, not on a private road. It is on Highway 397, so which is a state highway. And it'll instead of having to go back and get an additional curb cut, they're going to share access and bring it in and out of the store, but also allow them to be able to control and have a better handle on security. Be glad to answer any questions, and we certainly will address whatever concerns the neighbors have.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Does the board have any questions or comments? We do have some blue cards in opposition. We have 5 blue cards, so we're going to limit it to 2 minutes per person. So if you would, Ms. Alzina, please.
Ozan.
Jose.
I'm here because I'm concerned about.
If you would, please state your name and address again for the records, please.
Okay. My name is Bessie Jean Ozan, and I live at 1159 Highway 397. I am concerned about the park because I am a widow, and this is going to be next to me, and I'm afraid of the people that is going to come there. We don't know what this is going to be like, and I have other families that are here with me that are concerned about that also. And I'm also concerned about the drainage that is going to be next to me, the flooding of water, also the light. I've had people that complained about the lighting even from the store that's entered their homes. So I'd like to see if someone else would like to express their opinion about this also in my group. Would
But
someone-
I do have some others that I'm gonna call on.
Okay, well, this is my concern, the drainage, the lighting. No, I don't want to get flooded, and also the people that are coming in, you know, and also the sex offenders. I don't know what that's going to be like, because we've already had some in the trailer court where I live, not too far. So I'm concerned about that. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I got a question for Ms. Ozan.
Yes,
On 397, is there a store somewhere in that area? you said?
yes, yes. Yes, there's a new store there. Yes.
Mr. Kevin Brown? If you would, state your name and address for the records, please, sir.
James Kevin Brown, 1085 Highway 397, Lake Charles, Louisiana, 70615. The only concern I have with this RV park coming in, we had problems when they had the FEMA park. They moved in 800 FEMA trailers across the street from us. My mom is a widow. I live next door to my mom. Next door, my sister just lost her husband. We just buried him Saturday. So I don't want the problem we had with the FEMA park. It got so bad that the entrance went from 397 to James Sutter Road because of so much drug activity and so much traffic, you know, walking up and down the street. Because the store was open 24 hours down the road.
Yes.
Problem with the store, I don't have a problem with the store. It's just the RV park is concerned for my mom, Miss Ozan, and my sister. I mean, I can take care of myself, but I work
Yes, sir.
12 hours a day.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Christia Ford? Okay, thank you. Richard Darbone? Thank you. And Barbara Brown? Thank you very much. Does the applicant have any comments from the opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Start with the easy one, drainage. Drainage is obviously a concern for everybody, and we all know drainage gets addressed in the course of engineering. That is one of the stipulations, requirements of the staff, that we do have to do the drainage study. And we all know we have a zero off-site impact. And so we're not going to get permitted, we're not going to get approved unless we can demonstrate that there's not going to be any additional burden on the drainage system by the runoff of the water from the development of the park. Lighting is always a concern. We respect that. That's one of the stipulations. We have to have inward lighting. What's approved and what's operating and established right there, right now, is a 24-hour, 24/7 RV park. A convenience store. Coach, you were asking about, it is a brand-new store that's been in operation less than 3 or 4 months. And it does run 24/7, and it's got lights and it's got activity. That's also a positive thing for the bigger concern, which is the crime. And crime is a legitimate issue. Fortunately, we're 2 minutes away from the sheriff's department. But by having a store present and having people there 24/7, hopefully that's going to be a deterrent. And of course, there's only so much a developer can do about what happens with other people. And that is a job function of our police department. But it's important and incumbent upon them to make sure they have the right tenants, which is what they want. It's a new store, it's a new development. They don't want a crime problem. That doesn't facilitate their development in any way, shape, or form. And it's certainly nothing like the FEMA park. This is not going to be the Crying Eagle FEMA 800-unit development of people that are transported here from out of town because they're displaced. This is going to be an RV park operating next to an adjacent ongoing business. And certainly nobody has any interest in seeing any type of crime element development out there, their store included. And as far as pedestrian traffic goes, they're connected to a store. And so the incentive they may have had in years past to travel some distance to be able to get access to a store, they're literally adjacent to it. It's right there. It's got a food source. Everything's there. So, and it's a nice store. I invite you to stop by if you have an opportunity. It's a nice, new, modern, convenient with a full deli and the grocery and everything else that goes along with the convenience stores. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah. Any other-
I
Yes,
have
sir, Coach.
a comment in reference to Mr. Brown's statement. I'm well familiar when FEMA had those, all those trailers out there. That was an emergency situation. But it got so bad, they had to call the sheriff department out there, and they had to have 24-hour protection. I'm a police officer, and they wouldn't let me in. See, so I think what the people is concerned with is what kind of protection they're gonna have when some other development comes that close. I know it's just down the street from the sheriff department, but I think they need some honest protection as to who's coming in and who's going out, because there are a lot of drugs going on down there in that FEMA park.
Certainly, that's a concern for everybody, and we do share the concern. The beauty of having it connected to the store is that there's going to be security and there's going to be people there 24/7. And unlike the FEMA park where you didn't necessarily have a site manager who was there overseeing it every day, they're going to be there because they operate that store all the time. And so there's always one of the developer owners, managers that's always on site. And if there is a need for security, they'll certainly make sure that that's available to them. The other part of it is we're only talking 22 units. We're not talking 800 units like they had across the street. So it's a different style development.
I agree. I don't have no problem with the store, but the store's been a great access to that. People coming in. The store I never heard no problem from the store.
Mr. Armentar?
This being a state highway, and we know we develop along those, but it does border on three sides residential areas that have been there. And being familiar with the area, I know these same people, when FedEx decided to move in, they didn't complain about it. The store decided to move in, they accepted it. But I just feel like this is not the proper type of development for this area, simply because of the high residential area that surrounds it. The backyard border, people's backyards will border this, people's side yards. You know, they're on both sides. Some of these homes, I guess on the north side of it, they've been there for 40 years. You know, they've been there a long time. These residents have been there, and they expect to keep it somewhat. Now, something comes to develop there, like I said, they're not against everything that comes up because they have allowed and freely welcomed business that they feel does not harm their lifestyle or doesn't take a chance of doing that. And I think this type of development right now in that neighborhood is the wrong place for it. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Armentar.
If I could address that very briefly, if we could see the other slide, you'll notice that the property that's adjacent and north of this is also commercially zoned. And so it's a frontage along 397, and so it's just the east side, and it is mandated. You'll see the parcels, so the pink parcels, the gray and the peach, that's even industrial. And so it goes industrial as it transitions out from here. And so it is ripe for commercial development. Like you said, it is on a state highway.
Right.
There is one boundary with the residential, and that's required to be fenced. And if we want fencing, we'll stipulate that we'll do fencing all the way around it. So it's to protect the integrity of the homes that were affected by it.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Not, Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Porsche?
No.
Mr. Williams? Mr. Armentor?
No?
Ms. Cobb? Mr. Navarre?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt?
Little.
Chair Little?
No.
4 for and 5 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion fails. Give them a second to leave the room. Agenda item number 11, take appropriate action on RZ 12180108, a request by Men the V to rezone from mixed residential R2 to manufactured home park, or MHP, to allow a manufactured home park, 27 spaces at 6024 Leger Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr.
Second.
Navarre and seconded by Ms. Dickerson. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses 7 acres. Currently on the property is a house and a barn, which will both remain on site. If approved, the park will consist of aggregate parking and driveways. We have received an email opposing this request, and copies have been provided to all of you. Because the proposed development is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to plans, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? We do have one blue card in opposition. Lance Chesson, if you would, come to the podium, state your name and address, please.
My name's Lance Chesson. I reside at 6011 Leger Road, and I oppose this for several reasons. I've lived there for 20 years, and we have a trailer park that's already there. It's the 2 Cent Trailer Park, and it's just a cesspool for crime and drugs. And I've been there for 20 years. I've been broke in 3 times. I've recovered my stuff in the trailer park twice, and I think we're just going to take a problem and make it even bigger by, allowing these 27 mobile homes there. They'll be just catty corner from me, and I just don't think it's a good idea for our neighborhood.
Very much. Does the staff,
If it were to pass, I would like to see it have good restrictions, maybe even a fence to where we don't see it. Because it's the trailer park that's there that sets a precedent, it's just, it's an eyesore.
and there is provisions in this for screening in accordance with our ordinance.
Right.
So the screening is already in the application or the motion if it does approve.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Our staff members have.
Mr. Chairman, due to my work schedule and traffic from Westlake to here, I was a little late not to be able to turn the card in. My name is John Chavis.
Hold this, Chavis.
Okay.
What, for this item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chavis.
I reside at 634 County Town Road in Moss Bluff, Louisiana, but my mother lives out in that area on Freedom, 216 Freedom. I was born and raised in that area. I moved away for 23 years, came back, and my father's deceased, so basically I'm there to take care of my mom. Both ends of that street, they do have trailer parks. I have seen that area go down. A lot of eyesore trailers in that area. I was there today, had a young man standing up near a dumpster trying to stop me. What he wanted, I don't know, I didn't stop. So it's a lot of traffic there, a lot of concern, especially with the older people that's living there. That's been a community for many, many years. And it's just a concern for the older people and the safety and the traffic up and down one of the dead-end streets.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schiller. Board have any more questions or comments? Mr. Porche?
Question for the staff. In this letter of opposition by Ms. Butler, she references a application from about 5 years ago from Tony Tomasi that we did not, she's saying we did not approve it for a trailer park 5 years ago. Is that accurate?
I
Did I stump y'all?
apologize because we did just get this. You can see the time on it at 4:24 p.m. today. I don't have record of that,
Okay.
but
It doesn't ring a bell with me, but I don't remember that.
it
but
may have been something that was withdrawn, because in our
was
reports, we
withdrawn?
only put where there was action.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but, I mean, we got
Tammy's
this so
shaking her
late.
head like it may have been withdrawn.
The, all the way to the north of, I'm not sure what that road is that runs north and south, but all the way to the north of that road, it curves back going towards Gulf Highway.
Uh-huh.
The Tomasis did apply for a mobile home park there, but they did withdraw that request.
Okay. All right. I was just curious on the accuracy
Yes,
of
sir.
what was stated on the
Okay.
email. I can speak to the condition of that trailer park. It's not very far from my place of business. You know, it's one of those things, I don't know how that affects this decision. This is going to be a new owner. There are trailer parks there, but the condition of that existing trailer park is very terrible. Very bad element through there.
You can see that,
But that's all my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Any other questions or concerns by the board? Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I know the applicant didn't appear in the beginning. I don't know if the applicant is even here
I'm sorry, thank you.
Well, and I don't know if the applicant's here.
Is the applicant here? Would they like to make any comments? If you would, please come and state your name and address.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you very much.
Well, and with the rules we have, sometimes when the applicant doesn't appear at the beginning, it
Right.
seems like they waive their appearance, but I just wanted to make sure.
You want to speak?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to speak. I was just giving you an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Armentor,
No.
Mr. Navarre,
No.
Mr. Williams,
No.
Ms. Cobb, Ms. Dickerson,
No.
Mr. Porsche,
No.
Ms. Hyatt, and Mr. Smith. 8 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion fails. Agenda item number 12, take appropriate action on RZ 12180109, a request by Tony Property Management LLC to rezone from heavy industrial I-2 to recreational vehicle park or RVP to allow recreational vehicle park 3 spaces at 3097 Anthony Ferry Road in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Dickerson, seconded by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located northwest of Westlake and encompasses just over 1 acre of land. The applicant originally requested approval for 4 units, but has revised the proposal for only 3 units. If approved, all driveways will be aggregate. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the director, provided that he may make adjustments to site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development, that RV park model types are prohibited, that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that a local development permit must be obtained within 1 year or property will revert to original zoning, and that solid waste disposal be privately funded.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Is the applicant present? If they'd like to make any comments or recommendations to the staff presentation?
Thank you. Sheila Tony Broussard. I reside at 316 Pecan Street in Sulphur. I've made a little PowerPoint to kind of show you what the area looks like on Anthony Ferry Road. This picture shows 145 square acres. There are only 3 houses near our property on our side of the river. The top arrow is Mr. McFarland's property. The second arrow going down is Mr. Haas's. And the third arrow at the corner of Anthony Ferry and Houston River Road is Mr. Holbrook. There are 10 lots in between the boat launch of Anthony Ferry and the Entergy property. So I've shown you where those are. We are lots 7 and 8 that we're intending to put only 3 RV spots on. So I wanted to show you the area. This is the boat launch. And looking back the other direction towards the 10 lots, this is the view of that. This is lot 1, lot 2, nothing's out there, 3 and 4. This is the entrance going off of the main road to those 4, so they're all back in the woods. Lots 5 and 6, I own those. We also own those 2 lots. So from 7 and 8, I took pictures of what that area looks like. And these are lots 7 and 8 that the proposal is on. So there are 10 lots in between the boat launch and Energy, and there's only 1 house on any of those lots presently. So I went to where you see on your site plan, lot 1, I went to the closest edge to the house there, Mr. McFarland's, and this is what you would see from that RV. And then I wanted to show you Mr. McFarland's house. It's set off from the road, and that's where that is. So this is where lot 2 would be, how close it would be to the other house, and lot 3, how far it would be. So those are our property lines for lots 5 and 6, and the RV spots are in red squares. Number 1 is 230 feet from his house, 2 is 190, and 3 is 160. When we bought this, I always had envisioned, because we just bought the other one, we've had this one since 2012, I had envisioned a place for us with our RV, because we do that all the time, and one for our neighbors, our friends, our cousins and brothers, because everybody RVs right now. But then I found out that I could put another one, and I thought, well, we've just bought this other property. It would be great to rent these out and maybe help pay for some of what we're trying to develop. So instead of 2, there's 1 extra. So the impact is 1 extra RV spot is all we're really talking about. The closest house to those lots that I just showed you is at 2930 Anthony Ferry Road. It's 700 feet from my driveway. That was Mr. Haas's. And this is the next closest house at the corner of Anthony Ferry and Houston River Road. This is Mr. Holbrook's property. And I would like to interject, we've done rentals at houses. We own 4 houses is all. And we've kept those up for almost 20 years. Our houses are either as nice as the neighborhood or better than the neighborhood. And that was all.
One question, the Brewers own some property close to y'all?
Say that again, sir?
John Brewer?
I don't know the Brule name, no, sir.
Mama used to have a little bait stand right across from the
No.
that little swamp right there.
Yeah. No, I've not seen that.
Yeah, that's for your time, huh? That's just showing my age then.
Gentleman on the far end.
Thank you, Ms. Broussard. Does any of the board members have any other questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Armstrong.
So what you told us is you can have, right now, you can just go get a permit and put 2
Yeah.
campers out there without
Right.
coming to this board. You're just
Yes,
asking
sir.
for
Yes, sir.
impact is one more.
Let me let my
exactly
husband
what you're
My name
saying.
is Jerry Broussard. I reside at 316 Pecan Street, Sulphur, Louisiana. The whole intent is to try to generate some money. There's a lot of money in dirt work, mechanical stuff, all these type of things. So we're not trying to impact and make an RV park. We're trying to, when there's turnarounds, when there's times, we have rental. We're very particular with who we rent to. We do background screenings. My wife cleans all of our properties. We're in our properties once a week. We have approached our neighbor, Mr. McFarland, about 6 weeks ago and told him what we were going to do. He had no problem with it. And Wednesday, I get a call and he's got a problem. And maybe we'll address those after they speak. But we are not there to bring any people. If they can't maintain a standard, then they go, we evict them. That's just, we're not trying to hurt anybody. And if I get a call from someone, those people are gone. Just no ifs, ands, or buts. We've lived in every one of our rental property at some point in time. So we became friends and neighbors with people that we're still friends and neighbors with, and we still maintain a high quality. We report all our stuff, everything is above board. So what we're trying to do is develop this, and if we can generate some income, not trying to make it our sole source of income, they are going to be vacant at times. But we are going to put up surveillance, we are going to put up fencing, whatever we need to do to make sure that this is secure, that is our plan. It is not to hurt anyone. It's there to enjoy the river. Again, we plan on that the other 2 lots that we just bought, we've got about $100,000 invested in these 4 lots. I got $60,000 is what I just paid for the 2 lots with the cabin on it. With the development, that's a bunch of money, and I plan on developing our place there too as we retire. I'm 58 years old. I'm hoping to retire at 65. It takes a lot of money to do this, so it's not an overnight plan, but it is something I'm going to be right next to that also.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard. We do have 2 blue cards in opposition. Jeremy Hoss. Jerome.
My name is Jerome Charles Hayes III. I live at 2930 Anthony Ferry Road. Should show a picture of it. That is a ditch. I'm telling you, it don't take but an hour. Y'all talk about liability. It doesn't take but an hour, maybe 2 inches of rain. That's underwater. They don't plan on raising them. I live 4 blocks back. I own all that. I live 4 blocks back, and I put my house at 12 foot, and it got to 10 foot. And I mean, he's got boats, Mr. McFarland does. We have an evacuation plan set up. There's no way anybody can get in there, any rescue people can get in there safely and help them when it gets high, because it gets over the bridge and the current is just it's too bad. They can't get in there. And it's just a danger to anybody that rents it, because like I say, it's the holidays. They go out of town. I'm the neighborhood watch. I'm not watching these people's stuff. If it gets robbed or whatever, bye-bye. But it's going to go in the river. If it slams against my house or goes on my property, if any of their tenants go on my property, I protect my property. I got a right to. I don't have to build a fence or put posted signs. I want them to stay off of my property. This isn't going to work because it's going to put people's lives in danger. That's all I got to say right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Merlin McFarland.
My name's Merlin McFarland, and it's my house that's on that picture right there. That little line shows that it's 800 foot from me. If you take a look back at that clock right there and look up, you'll be looking in my house. Okay, it floods. You need the Corps of Engineers. It's wetlands. My privacy changes. Everything I work for in my life changes. A 6-foot fence ain't gonna hold up in the current. I got pictures. Just this last week, Christmas, New Year's, the property, I got pictures of it 3 foot under me driving a boat through the trailer park property. The guy putting a sign down on the side of the road had to call somebody to make sure that that was the right property he was gonna zone for a trailer park, because it was 3 foot under. I got pictures of it. Well, I'd love to. I live there. I know what goes on. I've had over 5 inches of rain and water come up in 1 hour. Mr. Williams knows what I'm talking about. It's a swamp. It just so happened to be before the wetlands law got passed, I had built in there and I live there. Now, when it floods, and we're talking flash floods. We're talking everything about pulling these out of here. When it's a flood, let me tell you something. Them people that had trailers in there the day that we sat there and looked at the sign and it was flooded, them people that's got the RVs down there that he says is gonna be his, which he ain't never had his down there in more than a week since he owned the property. Now he owns property further down. I think I'm gonna join him, y'all pass this, 'cause we just gonna have a big party down there. Now, we're gonna have all these emergency vehicles trying to get out of there, ain't we? The people that's got the RVs is the people that's gonna work out of town. Where were they Christmas and New Year's when they was taking the pictures and was putting a sign on the road? They was in Oklahoma, Nebraska. They was with their families. Is that what we ready to do down here in the swamp bottom? What we're gonna do for drainage? This is the drain. This is the drain. The land is 3 foot. My house is 15 foot above sea level. You think I stay in shape at 59? You bet when you walk up 17 flights of stairs all your life. And this guy wants to sit there and say he wants to live there. He ain't even done nothing but mow grass all his life. He wants to stick people down in there from out of town looking up at my family. He's gonna run a background check. It didn't do that little girl no good. The dude killed her mother and her daddy 3 months before they found her. He ain't never been in trouble in the law to begin with.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
3 minutes.
Mr. McFarland,
Thank y'all.
thank you very much.
You
I
got the
appreciate
pictures.
you.
That's all I needed to paint. Wetlands, guys.
Mr. Broussard, you have,
Yes, sir. It is not wetlands. It's on the record. It is not wetlands. Also,
gentlemen, if y'all would, please.
Mr. McFarland runs a business out of his house. He sells fish and seafood. So there are strangers. He puts a sign at the road, and anybody and everybody pulls down that road. So there's people pulling into his own driveway all the time. We're going to have control of this. But to say that you got strangers living there, some of the finest people I've ever met are RV people. We're talking about not trash. We're talking about top notch. My brother has a $350,000 motor coach that we RV together. He and I plan on being there. And to correct Mr. McFarland, I've never pulled my RV down there, for the
Yes, sir.
record. So
Thank you, Mr.
it is not wetlands. And you can check the records. You can check the records. They are not wetlands.
Thank you very much.
If I may address a couple other things. We have put a lot of dirt out there. We've been building it up, and there's, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000 more of dirt that it's going to take to get it up enough to work. The RVs pull out. If when you RV and you go to a spot that's on the river, you know that's one of the things, and that will be one of the things in the contract, that they have to understand that if it happens, it happens. That's, people who are concerned about that, they won't stay there. They have other RV parks to stay at. His windows are 15 feet in the air. I mean, maybe more than that from the bottom and then going up. You can't look into a window that's 15 feet in the air. And it'll be at least a 6 foot, if not an 8 foot. And our concern has always been trying to take care of his privacy. Whenever we laid out, and we've laid out 100 times, how to pull things in, it was, how can we get them to pull in and back into where they're facing away from his property as much as possible, and to see the river, but to do that for him. And we had long conversations about how far should we extend the fence to make sure they can't see any of his stuff and all his working things under his house where he keeps those, trying to protect the vision of that. And now that we know he's concerned about his grandkids, we are going to extend that fence all the way, even if y'all don't approve it for us, it will be all the way into the water and way up to where it's impassable, so people can't go from our property onto his or vice versa. They would have to go around to the road and go on there that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Broussard. Any other comments or questions from the board? No, sir. We're fixing to have a vote here as soon as our board members are finished. Ms. Christie, would you have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Ms. Cobb? Mr. Smith? Mr. Porsche? Mr. Williams? Mr. Navarre?
No.
Ms. Dickerson? Ms. Hyatt? Mr. Armitage?
Yes.
5 for and 3 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion carries. Agenda. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 13. Take appropriate action on RZ 1218-0111, a request by Mark Vale to amend ordinance number 6780 of RZ 03-054-116, stipulation 1, that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development to allow a revised site plan, storage yard, temporary offices, and potential future parking facility at 9340 Tom A. Bear Road in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Wallace?
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses 120 acres. In 2012, the land was rezoned from agricultural to heavy industrial to allow expansion of an existing borrow pit and to allow a concrete crusher plant. In the years following, the applicant has received 2 approvals for this property related to borrow pits. A third approval was granted in 2016 when the applicant received approval for a laydown yard on the entire 120 acres. Up to this point, the applicant has leased approximately 38 acres of laydown space. At this time, the applicant is requesting more flexibility for future use, with the land being allowed to be used for laydown yards or temporary office trailers and a potential park and ride facility limited to the northeast 10 acres. We have not received any written opposition to this request, and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the revised site plan on file, provided that the director may authorize adjustments in light of technical or engineering considerations, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that a runoff management plan and a traffic impact analysis will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, that permitting is subject to approval of the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, and that any borrow pit operations must comply with the stipulations contained in ordinance number 6780, ordinance number 6756, and ordinance number 6092.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Does any of the board members have any questions or concerns, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 14. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on December 20th, 2018, with reference to the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Board from the December 18th, 2018 meeting. Bert DeVille, Foreman Road, Planning and Zoning denied, police jury upheld. Reliable Properties, Smith Road, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury overturned. Brad Ante, Sam Houston Jones Parkway, Planning and Zoning approved, police jury upheld. JATKY, Ham Reed Road, Planning and Zoning approved, the police jury upheld. Next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, February the 19th, 2019, in the police jury meeting room. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
No.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.